This is J. Krishnamurti's 7th discussion with teachers and students at Brockwood Park, 1972.
We can see each other. What should we talk about? No? All right. Did you see last night on the television what they were doing in the North Sea, digging for oil? Probably you have. A boat that has got 7 propellers and doing most fantastic things. Technologically, tremendous activity and so-called progress. And human beings are not progressing or moving so rapidly. Right? Technically, human beings have, through their use of brain and thought and cunning, have created a world of amazing world to make human beings more comfortable, rapid transit, have more oil, exploit the earth, and so on and on and on. And in relation to that, we human beings are not making such enormous strides. We are more or less where we were 5,000 years ago, psychologically speaking, inwardly speaking. And without psychological advancement, revolution, there is a great deal of imbalance. You know what that word imbalance means? Not balanced, not harmonious. There is technology in one direction going rapidly, and human beings in their character, in their attitudes, in their activity, in their violence are more or less stationary. So this causes disharmony, which is imbalance, that is not balanced. Right? And you are going to enter into that world when you leave here. A world where technologically there's this rapid advancement, and you, unless there is real revolution psychologically, you will also become imbalanced. You clear? So, as we were saying the other day, can we change as rapidly as in the technological world? Can we transform ourselves in relation to the technological world so that we can live a totally different kind of life. Dana Nelson. So I'm asking myself and asking you, that as human beings, can there be a psychological revolution totally different from what you are now? Self-centered, very cunning, to get your own way, using people consciously or unconsciously, self-concerned, seeking one's own security, both psychologically as well as physically, angry, violent, jealous, greedy, and therefore totally uneducated, though you may have degrees and all the rest of it, but actually uneducated. Can all that be changed? So that when you do leave this lovely place, that you are totally different human beings. Shall we discuss that a little bit? You know what conscious mind is? And do you know what the unconscious mind is? I can't see you birds. Come over there. Come on. I want to be there. That's better. Target. I was asking, do you know what conscious thinking is? That is consciously planning, as we are, to go to Paris for a few days, then to Rome, where I'll be there for 3 weeks, and consciously planning to go to India and go to different parts of India and come back and go on to California. That's conscious thinking, conscious planning, conscious arrangement. That you are going to take consciously mathematics, geography, if you wish to pass exam or not wish to pass the exam. That's to consciously do, act, think. Right? Then there is the so-called unconscious, which is the deeper layers of the conscious. Right? You're following all this? So there is the conscious level at which one thinks, plans, arranges, suspicious, cunning, using, people exploiting, and so on, at that level. And also there is a deeper level, a deeper layer, which is also very active. Have you noticed this? Have you? Right, Gregory?
Do you mean dreaming?
I'm not only dreaming, we'll go into that. Aren't you aware that you are doing something, not actually thinking about it? Huh? Suddenly you find yourself jealous, angry. You haven't thought about it, but you have got it. You follow? The feeling arises. It might either be a very conscious thinking of which you are unconscious, or an unconscious thinking which you become conscious. Do you understand what I'm talking? Because this is a little bit important that you should understand this. So, most of us exercise our conscious mind, use the conscious mind to think, to plan, to hurt, to exploit people, to go to the office, work there, learn a technique. It's all on that level, you understand? And that's all the time active. And also there is a deeper layer at which which also is active, which is also in movement. Are you aware of this? The deeper layer may express itself through dreams, through certain hints, intimation, to tell you, look, don't do that, but do this. Don't take that path, but take this path. Don't stand there, but safer there. You follow? There is an intimation, a hint, which the unconscious is projecting into the conscious. Are you following all this? I say this is important to understand this because one learns much quicker, not through the conscious mind, the upper layer of the mind, but at the deeper levels of the mind. Am I explaining myself? No. Not quite. Am I?
What is the deeper layer?
I'm coming to that, old boy. Just Tunke. Get the whole picture, not details. You understand? Get the picture of the whole house. After you get the picture of the whole house, then you can look at details. You follow? Don't look for details first, but get the whole view of the house. Right? Have you got this? So don't always pick on the details, which you are apt to do, if you don't mind my correcting it. So there is this mind which we have, the mind that is conscious at a certain conscious layer, and there is the unconscious layer, the deeper layer. And you learn much quicker through the unconscious rather than the conscious.
Why?
Huh?
Why do you
First see is this right? Don't say why. Yet, we'll come to that. Have you noticed this? Look, I tell you something. I tell you, nationalism, I'm taking that as an example, is poison. You hear it. And you pay little attention to it. The conscious mind hears it, doesn't pay too much attention to it. The unconscious has heard it, holds it, and when you are not thinking about it, suddenly you remember. Suddenly you say, by Joe, I heard that. You understand what I'm saying?
Do you also see it at that point?
Huh?
You also see it at that point?
Hasn't this happened to you first? Let's go slowly. Hasn't this happened to you? Not nationalism, about anything.
You mean the recognition of what has been said and the happening of daily life?
No, Tunke. You hear something and you don't pay much attention to it. Later on, you suddenly say, yes, I heard that's very important, very interesting. Don't you? Don't you do this? Huh? It happens very often. No? Now, what does that mean? The unconscious is much more alert to its danger than the conscious mind. You know, they experimented, I believe in America, what they called subliminal advertising. You ever heard that?
Yes.
At last we're meeting. Gosh, you need examples. I don't, you see. You think through examples. Well, anyhow, that is, they've flashed what kind of toothbrush you should buy. Or the car, or toothpaste you should buy, or soap. You looked at it, didn't pay much, but it has entered into your... And that keeps on, you follow? When that thing is repeated over and over and over again, you instinctively go and buy that soap. Right? So the unconscious receives information or a statement much more quickly than the conscious. Because the conscious mind is so occupied. Going to the office, cooking, washing dishes, it's there all the time active. Whereas the unconscious is a little more quiet, watching, listening, taking in very quickly. You have noticed this, haven't you? That's all I'm saying. But I am explaining it so that you become aware of it. So, one can learn much quicker through the unconscious rather than through the conscious. Are you getting this? I say to you, don't be an American or don't be an Englishman. Be a human being. I said to you, don't bother about your ancestors, your whatever they were, or your good family or bad family. Forget all that. What is important, what you are. Now, you listen to that, but your conscious mind is prejudiced, much more. You follow? That you are an American, Englishman, or a Hindu, whatever it is. So, that which you have heard remains in the unconscious much more. And that operates much more quickly than the other. You're getting this? So, can you listen to this? Listen to this. Can you hear, listen, not only with the conscious mind, but at a deeper level? You've understood what I said?
But can you consciously listen with your unconscious?
That's what I'm suggesting.
I don't know. Because if you force it, then it becomes a conscious.
Of course. That's why don't. Now I'm going to show you something. You do it now as I'm talking. You'll see the fun of it. You see, I can't think of examples. That's why I have difficulty. Huh? Doesn't matter? Say you smoke. By the way, did you hear what they said about smoking? On the television? They were talking about cancer yesterday or day before. And they said those people who smoke have lung cancer, inevitably. If you smoke 20 cigarettes a day, you have 7 years less to live. And there are thousands and thousands of doctors who have given it up because they know. Now, just listen to this. Suppose you smoke. You have established a habit, haven't you? Nicotine. You have established a habit of, say, 10 years or 10 days or 10 months. Consciously, you resist breaking down that habit. Because you say, my goodness, it's going to take a long time. I must try. You follow? But if you can put aside for the time being this mind that says, that resists, but listen without resistance, you follow? Then the unconscious is active. I wonder if you get this. Take another. If you want.
Are you saying that the unconscious mind doesn't have the habit of smoking?
Not so. It's much more sensitive than the conscious mind. It may have its own habits. Like, I can't. Unconsciously, living in India and brought up in India, there is a tremendous sense of caste system, class. Unconsciously, that may be deep inside you. That's a deep habit, you follow? I may say, class doesn't matter, superficially, because I think that's good not to have class differences and all the rest of it. But deep down, I have this feeling that I'm a Brahmin. You follow? Superior to everybody. 3,000 years old, all that kind of stuff. That is much more deeply rooted than in the conscious mind. That becomes the habit, doesn't it? And I slip it out when I am not conscious of it. I praise the Brahmins. I say they're marvelous people. You're following all this? So, the conscious mind is not so sensitive as the deeper layers of the mind. And the deeper layers of the mind, being sensitive, learns quicker. Whereas the conscious mind puts up a resistance all the time. Oh, I don't like it. I can't give it up. It's very difficult to learn a language. I think this is, you follow? Keeps on chattering, which is a form of resistance. You get it? Now, take another thing. If you want to learn a language, I have done this, that's why I'm talking about it. You listen to a gramophone record. I learned Spanish in 3.5 months, to talk, to write, and you follow. I applied every day an hour, and I did it. But you see, I did it unconsciously, listening to it. You follow? I didn't say I must learn, I must force myself, I will study every day an hour, I will look at it. You follow? Exercising will is part of the unconscious. You get it? You get this? Whereas if you know how to listen without the resistance of the conscious mind, you learn much quicker. Getting all this? Yeah, put aside if you can. That's the whole trick of it. All right, if you like, you want to go into it, I'll show it to you. The conscious mind is the mind of will and resistance. Right? I have a habit, and I say I must break it. That is the action of will, trying to break a particular habit. Are you following this? And in that, there is struggle, conflict. Say, I'm going to do this every day, I watch it every day, and you follow, fight. Which is, build up a resistance to a particular habit. Are you following this? You know what that word resistance is? To resist, to put a wall against, to build a wall against something, both psychologically and physically. I build a wall round my garden, which is I resist the encroaches of the next garden. I resist when I said don't be an Englishman. You being an Englishman, resist it. You follow? So, conscious mind is used to resistance and will. Will is a form of resistance. You're following all this? Will is a form of resistance. When you say, I will do that, you have resisted, you have built a wall against something which you don't want to do, or we want to do. You get it? So, conscious mind is in the habit of resistance and acting according to will or an idea. No, you don't get that. Right. You got it? Good. How did you get it? Articulate it. Put it into words. Because it's good for you to put into words. How did you get it so quickly?
It just came to me.
It came to you. How did it come to you?
All of a sudden it just...
Yes, my dear lady. How did it come to you?
I don't know. In my mind, I guess.
You heard what conscious mind does. Resist, will, and idea. and you didn't quite understand what idea was. So you say, please explain it. You're listening. Your mind, active mind, wasn't active. Right? And suddenly you got it. You see this?
Because it wasn't in the way.
It was not in the way. You get the point? Now, can you put the conscious, not allow it to come in the way?
It's unconscious.
You understand my question? You're following? Huh? My mind is used to resistance, superficial criticism, action according to a pattern, which is, I will do this, or functioning according to concepts, which is the idea. My mind used to that. Because that's how I've been brought up, educated. But also, I have been brought up deeply to watch, because I want to survive much more. You follow? I must be much more careful. That's why I say I'm an Indian, though I logically say how absurd it is. I'm still an Indian because I daren't let that idea go because I shall be lost. That being an Indian gives me a certain sense of identification, pride, security. So, though consciously how absurd it is, unconsciously you follow? So can my mind put aside resistance and listen? You following this? I say to Tunke, or you, don't look at details first. Don't take up one little point and beat it to death. And you are used to looking at one detail, and your mind works in detail. And I said, don't do that. And you resist it. Because you're used to that. Why not? Who are you to tell me? So, can you listen without resistance? Say you want to learn a language, and you listen. Don't say, oh, what a bore it is. Oh, I don't know how to learn a language. If all the conscious mind that says, I don't like it, it is not, what's the point of it? I'm lazy, adding some more trouble. You follow? Can you put all that aside and listen to the record? So that the words penetrate naturally into you. That is, when you are having breakfast, to play the gramophone or the record, learning, say, French. You're eating, talking, but that's going on. And you unconsciously listen to the sound of it, how it is pronounced. I don't know if you've watched it, right? You get what I'm talking about now? Do you? Now, can you do it?
Sometimes we all do it when we don't know. Sometimes we do it.
No, not sometimes.
All the time.
Oh, what? That means never resisting. You understand? If I tell you, Oh, do wear your hair differently. Don't cover all your face. I like to look at your face. It is ugly, beautiful, doesn't matter. Don't cover it all up. I can't look at you. You're not Miss Hair. I want to look at your face. And the fashion is to, cover it all up. And you resist it. Don't you? So I said, don't resist, but listen. Don't cover your face. Then you have learned. It's much quicker. You understood this? Can you do this? I'll tell you a story, an old Indian story, I believe I was told of it. There was a well-known robber. He robbed everybody and grew very rich. And he had 4 sons. So he was dying and he called his sons. He said, our God has protected us. We have gone rich in robbing. Please always pray to that God who made us rich, who made us wealthy, happy, a good house, good family. Always remember the God who has given us these riches through robbing. And he dies, and they take him to the place where they burnt bodies. And they were returning. And as they passed the local village, a preacher in the square was talking about goodness. And he said, don't rob anybody. Don't steal. Be kind. Be gentle. And all the brothers shut their ears, so they would never heard a word of what the preacher was saying. And the 4th, the youngest, had kept his ears, had fingers on his ears so that he couldn't hear. And as he crossed, as he was barefooted, he felt pain, a thorn. And he removed his finger to remove the thorn. And then the preacher said, don't kill, don't rob, be kind. And ever after that, for many years, that voice kept on repeating, don't rob, don't kill. You understand? So the other 3 brothers robbed, but he couldn't. You understand? Now, in the same way, can you listen without any resistance? When Mrs. Simmons comes and says to you, we all agreed to go to bed at 9:30, 10, whatever it is, and she tells you the next or week later, look, you are so late, go to bed. Can you listen without any resistance?
That means you always have to be ready, if I may say ready. When somebody comes to you, you just always have to be able to listen to him.
That is, of course, sir, that means you have to have no resistance. You follow, that's the root of it.
But what if someone's telling you something that's not true?
Wait, then what happens? Wait, somebody comes around and says, be an Englishman, for God's sake. You have lived in this country for, etc., an island which has its own culture, its own politics, the mother of all parliaments, and, the noise of it. And somebody comes along. What will you do? You have heard 2 statements. Don't be an Englishman, or an American or Hindu, and somebody comes along and says the other. Quite the opposite. What will you? You listen to both without resistance. Right? What happens? Go on, tell me.
You decide which one's true.
Huh?
You decide.
Moment you decide you're resisting. I get that point, you're right? You resist one again, you follow?
I can ask.
I mean, think it out, what will you do? I say to you, don't be an American, with all the implications. And Gregory comes along and says, be an Englishman, for God's sake. Much better, empire, not empire now, whatever it is. What will you do? Go on, think, what will you do?
Listening for reasons.
He gives you a lot of reasons why you should be an Englishman. Marvelous reasons. Historical, logical, illogical, every kind of reason he gives you. And the other man also gives you marvelous reasons why you should not. Logical, illogical, and so on, so on. But you listen to both without resistance. Right? What takes place?
If you see without resistance, you can see the real significance of the...
You see the significance of both. You see to be an Englishman means, all that. You see what it means ought to be. And you see the significance of both.
But do you have to do anything? Do you have to be
I'm asking you, what will you do? Are you going to be an Englishman or an American?
Maybe just...
Why should I be?
Huh?
Why should I be? Either.
Which means what?
No, why should I be either American or English? Or
Therefore,
Indian
what has happened?
Well, you don't choose. I mean, you just leave them.
I'm asking you, go further, deeper.
The truth is obvious.
Huh?
The truth is obvious.
Learning about when you say, why must I be an Englishman or an American? You are questioning. It can lead to an understanding of why maybe I or somebody else is an Englishman or an American.
Remember what I said? I said the active mind resists. You or I have been brought up, you in America, and I in Jamaica, or Fiji. And I have my culture, and you have your culture. Somebody comes around and says, don't be either. I resist him because I'm the result of my culture. I resist what he says. And you don't, or you do. Now, how am I to act or function inwardly or outwardly when I have no resistance to what he's saying? Go on, exercise your brain. Come on.
So, I keep it in my mind and see during the course of living which one is correct. I mean, sometimes when somebody says, and by the course event of living, you will see the truth of it.
Look, don't you haven't quite understood. I am a Catholic, organized. I am the result of organized propaganda and belief, calling myself Catholic, right? You are a Buddhist, coming from the East, your whole culture and thinking is the result of Buddhist concept and life, right? A Catholic I am, you have got. And somebody comes along, says to me, don't be a Catholic, and gives me excellent reasons. How it divides people, what it does, superstition, authority, dogma, and living in the past, worshipping an idea, an ideology, an image, Jesus, and so on and so on. He tells me all that. I resist it. As you resist if they say anything against Buddhism. Now, I'm asking you, what your response when you have no resistance at all to what he is saying?
But if I told you to behave like an Indian teacher, and you wouldn't listen without resistance, you'd...
Oh yes, I would listen to you. I'd listen to you.
You've already decided that isn't right.
Beg pardon?
You've already decided that...
I haven't decided it.
That you don't want to live like Maharishi.
I haven't decided. If I decide, it will be a resistance. You don't see this. This is the whole point. I'm going to get this clear to you.
So that means that one is open of examining.
What do you mean by being open?
Without resistance.
Huh?
Without resistance.
Now, I said to you, if you don't resist to what he is saying, I'm a Catholic, and what takes place?
You're just able to
I have no resistance. I listen to him. Therefore, what has happened to my mind?
It's free of opinions. Well, it's just quiet.
No, go on, Gregory, go into it. When I say, when you listen without resistance, what is the act of listening in which there is no form of saying I will or I won't?
What was that?
It's watching. It's watching what's there.
What?
It's watching what and hearing what's there.
I think it's just taking the whole at the same time. When you say not be a Catholic, it just takes it all.
No, go further. I'm asking you, what is the quality of your mind that has no resistance?
It's not distorted by opinions. It's not distorted by opinions and prejudices.
Yes, so what is the quality of that mind?
It's observing. Well, not fine, but
No.
open receptive.
Huh?
Receptive.
Huh?
Receptive.
Perceptive?
Receptive.
Receptive? Don't guess. Be factual, don't guess.
Because you are able to take things in without putting opinions.
You don't put up a resistance, right? Then what happened to the mind? I want you to tell me. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to work at it. What?
Are you able to learn?
What happens to your mind or more if you don't resist?
You're talking about the
Anything.
unconscious,
No, I tell you, don't wear glasses.
I'm going to the eye doctor in a week.
I said to you, don't wear glasses. Very bad for your eyes. It may be a foolish statement or a intelligent statement. You listen to me. Because I force you to listen to me. I make you listen to me. And I said, look, listen without resistance. Right? What do you do? Huh?
I think I got what you mean. So you were asking you're going to do sense.
Then, are you going to keep your glasses?
Well, I've investigated.
What does that mean?
Well, I've been trying personally.
Bait system exercise, remove. I'll show you some exercises if you want it.
Yes.
Go
I
on.
mean, I tried.
Don't wear glasses. Huh?
But I just tried it, I've been wearing glasses for 10 years or something like that.
I know.
And I've just tried it just for some,
Listen, what I'm saying. I say to you, don't wear glasses. And also I say, don't resist to resist what I'm saying. What has happened to your mind?
It's hard to explain. It's
Huh?
hard to put it into words.
Oh, you will put into words. You will.
It seems to me it just, for a flash, see itself resisting. I mean, if you tell me don't wear glasses, and I just keep on saying no, but it's good and so on, and I think.
Therefore, what do? Will you remove your glasses? Or do you say, now I don't want to say a thing to you, because then you will accept my word.
That would be taking it without seeing it yourself.
That means what?
If you were to just take off the glasses because you had told me so.
That would be silly, wouldn't it?
Right.
Therefore, what will you do? Go on, please. Go on. Don't go slowly into it.
I'm trying.
What is the state of your mind that says, yes, I'm listening to you. I have no resistance.
Somehow your mind is blank, but then again everything is working.
Will you take your glasses off? Or what do you say? Say, yes, I won't resist, but I'll find out, won't you? Huh?
It's a question.
You are saying, I'll find out if I can do without glasses. Which means what?
Which means you haven't yet accepted it.
Go on.
You have a conclusion about if you should.
Your conclusion is a resistance.
You're going to learn about it?
Huh?
You're going to learn?
Which means what? When you don't resist, your mind is inquiring, isn't it? Huh? Investigate, inquiring. Huh? Now, what is the quality of mind that's investigating?
It's open.
That word is too loose for me. You understand? You followed this? You wear glasses, and I say to you, don't wear glasses. As I'll explain why. As you grow older, it will get worse and worse, more difficult, and so on and so on. And you listen without resistance. Then when you listen without resistance, you then are inquiring, aren't you? Can I look without glasses? So you take them off. Right? So you are experimenting, you are inquiring, you are learning. Right? You will go to Bates, you will do this or that. So you have broken the habit inwardly of wearing glasses and resisting. You followed this? No?
I'd like you to go over it again.
Huh?
Sir, I've done just that, if I may, I'll say so. I've been wearing glasses since about 3rd grade, and about 6 months ago, I decided to just try without glasses. And I haven't gone back to them yet. I don't see any need for them.
Now, wait, I understand that. You stick to this till you understand this, because it's very important while you're young. That is, as I explained, where there is the activity of conscious mind, there is resistance, the action of will, acceptance, and the forming of habit, right? You saw that. If you can not resist, then this deeper mind is being more sensitive, is beginning to inquire, question, ask, find out. Right? Now, that state of mind is entirely different from the mind that resists. Right? That mind is going to, say, inquire and act rightly, which is that mind, being intelligent, will do the right, intelligent thing. You get it? A mind that is resisting is an unintelligent mind, right? But a mind that says, that has understood the meaning of resistance, the significance of it, putting it aside, inquires.
Can we also say the mind that accepts is equally unintelligent?
Oh, of course, acceptance is a form of resistance too.
Or rejection.
Huh?
Or rejection.
A resistance, acceptance is a form of resistance. Acceptance is because I accept very quickly because it's convenient.
Or reject.
Or reject very quickly.
Because it could be nonsense, the things being suggested.
Huh?
It could be nonsense.
Of course, it could be nonsense too. I accept nonsense, as most people do. When I say I'm a Brahmin, Catholic, Protestant, it is nonsense. I accept it. And then I resist it.
But this, any conscious thinking form, is any conscious thinking a form of resistance?
Huh?
Is any conscious thinking a form of resistance?
I told you too, unconscious may have its own forms of resistance. So, when you listen to this tunki, listen quiet, listen, not with your verbal mind or mind that's resisting, listen actually. I said any form of resistance, consciously or unconsciously, superficially or deeply, any form of resistance is an unintelligent act. Right? Now, listen to that and let the seed of that take root in you. You understand? As being a Catholic has taken a root. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, man.
Wow. That means you do not understand it, but you
But I said to you, Tunke, listen without resistance. Which doesn't mean you're just open and swallow everything everybody pours in. It means listening without resistance, which means a mind that is inquiring. Therefore, it's a free mind. Therefore, it's an intelligent mind that says, it will act intelligently. Therefore, you might say, well, I'll inquire and find out if I can do without glasses. I'll go into this question. You follow? I'll see whether by doing right kind of exercises and so on, I may not need glasses at all, which is an intelligent action without resistance. You follow? Look, I'll pursue it. I'm not boasting about myself, I'm just stating a fact. As a boy, I was the head of a tremendous organization with lots of properties, 5,000 acres, castles and all, everything. I was supposed to be a great spiritual teacher. And I said, all organized religious beliefs are stupid. They divide people, right? So I dissolved the organization over which I was the head, gave away the property, you follow? Because I said this is an unintelligent thing to do. I didn't resist anybody telling me, oh, you must keep that. Marvelous. As people told me, you must hold on to that because you can help lots of people. Others said, do this or don't do that. But I said, I've said, I saw all around me organized beliefs. Catholic, Protestant, Hindu, Buddhist, and the divisions of each. So I said, this is too stupid. It's unintelligent, unspiritual. So, you follow? That means I listened both the outer and the inner. So I said, out. And the Indian guru, you know what a guru is? Leader of spiritual soul. I won't go into the meaning of that word. They assume some certain authority. They say, I know, you don't know, I will teach you and therefore accept, and so on, so on. I said, I won't be that kind of guru. It's too stupid. Because then you become a leader, authority, and you're really not helping anybody. You are only fattening on other people's worship. So I said, out. Did I resist the idea of the guru? You follow? Did I resist the idea of organization? Or did I say, look, let's look at it? You understand? Therefore, by looking, I was free to observe. You understand? I was free to inquire. And the more you are, more when there is freedom, you instinctively feel the right thing. You understand? I won't go into it. You get the picture, more or less. So, now proceed from there. You're going to learn a language. German, French, or English. Carlos is going to learn English. And he's going to spend an hour a day and learn it. And we're going to force him to learn it. I'm only forced, it's a joke. Now, to learn English or German or French, listen to it not with effort, which is concentration, you understand? But listen to it happily, easily. Forget it that you're listening. Then the words, the pronunciation seep in. But if you said, I must listen very carefully to the French word, Champs-Élysées, And I pay tremendous attention to it. I can't do it properly. You follow? But if I say yes, I listen, looking out of the window. You're following all this? It comes in much quicker. So we come back. You are all conditioned, right? American culture, American affluence, American way of looking, or English way, or Indian way, whatever it is. You are the product of your environment, of your culture. Right? Now, can you listen to your conditioning without resistance and so break it? Because if you have your conditioning and I have my conditioning, we are separate. There is a division. And hence the division means conflict. Conflict either psychologically or physically. Physically, war. Psychologically, I hate you. I don't like you because you are a Catholic. You follow all the rest of it. Or I tolerate you. We all love Jesus. Therefore, we must be brotherly. You follow? So can you listen without resistance to your conditioning? Right? And see as you listen, without resistance, what is the outcome of that? Do you get it? So it means, first, listening implies freedom, isn't it? You can't listen if you are not free to listen. Right? You cannot listen if you are resisting. So find out if you are resisting. If you are resisting, see the absurdity of it. It goes. You follow. The moment you say how silly it is, it's gone. So, there is the world of technology and there is psychological human world. The two are not keeping pace together. Are you following? There is vast difference. One is far ahead, the other is far behind. And therefore, there is great imbalance in human beings. Imbalance being disharmony. And the revolution is to bring harmony, not only between technological world and the psychological world, but in yourself, so that you can use technology and yet be above technology. You follow? Do you understand all this? So that you are never caught in petty little anxieties. I don't know if you follow this. Worries, jealousies, greed, so that you're out of all that. So if you have a habit, physical or psychological, don't resist it, watch it. You can't watch it or observe it with the conscious mind, but the unconscious can look at it. You getting now the meaning of all this? Huh? Now do it, and you will see you become extraordinarily sensitive. You understand? So that your mind is being a sensitive mind is an intelligent mind. Got it?
But what is that does it? I mean, that puts away the resistance. And that I don't understand totally the energy behind putting away the resistance.
All right. Now I'll show it to you. Your culture, which is the result of great deal of expenditure of energy, you understand, has created your conditioning, right? Your energy as 350 or 500 years old American culture has shaped you. You're following this? And I say to you, listen to that conditioning without resistance, right? That means don't expend your energy in resistance, right? Are you following this? As an American brought up in an American culture, a great deal of energy has gone into conditioning you. That same energy now resists. Do you understand? So I say to you, don't waste your energy in resistance. Right? So you have more energy, haven't you? More energy which is not wasted can function or expend itself or act to find out if I can do without glasses. You understand? If the mind can learn language quicker, because you have no resistance. So you have energy. If the energy has been wasted, being conditioned, held. Now you've broken that resistance and you have more energy. Having more energy, you can learn more quicker. You follow? Are you what? Learn more. You got it? Look, sir. I suppose I have a habit of scratching my head. Or frowning at you. I won't resist it. I won't say I must get rid of it. Because I listen to you, say, don't frown. I listen to you. Because I have no resistance. The listening is operating. You follow? I'm listening. All the time listening to don't frown. You get what I'm talking? I'm listening, don't frown. So I won't frown at the end of 3 days if I'm listening.
That you can do to a conscious habit, but not
it's not an unconscious habit. Look, Tunke, somebody comes along and tells me, you're a terribly greedy old boy. You're very greedy. I like being greedy. I like to have lots of things. I'm greedy. So when you come and tell me, don't be greedy, I resist you. I say, but why not? It's good for the economy. You follow? The more you buy, the more you follow. I give you 1,001 good explanation why I should be greedy. Which means I'm resisting your statement, don't be greedy. Right? Now, can I listen to what you say, don't be greedy, without any resistance? Then what takes place? Then I say to myself, am I really greedy? You follow? I am. Or I'm not. I am greedy. I said, then what's wrong? Why should I be greedy? You follow? My mind is inquiring. You follow? My mind is active. Not consciously active, but it's digging. It won't leave that word alone. Don't be greedy. I want to go into it. You're following all this? Your statement which I receive without resistance, it is like a seed that has vitality. And it'll put out shoot. It'll become vital without any operation of the conscious mind by saying I must or must not be greedy. That's enough. If you haven't got it, go and jump in the lake. You got it? Good. Can you operate that way? Every day. All the time. That is intelligence, you understand? You eat in a certain way, you are used to it. Putting your fork in there and cutting it. And I look at you, and I say, that's an American way of eating. They haven't thought about it. They haven't watched themselves eating. So I said to you, sit properly and hold the knife properly and the fork properly. Don't jam it with one hand. You follow? It looks ugly. And you resist it. He said, why is this as good as yours? I said, no, look, don't resist. Find out. Which doesn't mean you're going to imitate. You see the difference? Find out. Which means you watch. And I know, if you watch, you will see there is reason behind eating rightly. If you put your elbows out, you're knocking, you follow, on a small table, you hit each other. So you keep your elbows in. Right? And when you keep your elbows in, you can't jab. So when you keep your elbows in, do you want? You don't mind my telling you all this? When you keep your elbows in, you have to eat properly. That is, you have to move your wrist and put it in. You follow? Only the wrist, nothing else. Not the whole move. So, when you... I'll tell you why it's not amusing. I'm very careful about all this. Once a king came to see me, a king, one of the big so-called rulers. And we had lunch together. He had been trained very, very, very carefully never to move his elbows. I watched him, how he moved only his wrist. And cut, nothing else. And I said, by Jove, it's rather interesting. So I watched him. Which isn't, I wasn't imitating him, I watched him. And I was doing the same, but it was more refined. So I said, by Jove, so much better, I'm learning. You follow what I'm saying? Once, some years ago, I used to know an Italian captain of a regiment called the Alpinisti, the Alpine people. They walked with their rucksack about, I've forgotten the exact kilometer for an hour at a certain speed, up or down, going up the valley or flat, regular speed all the time. So this friend, Italian, he said, come and walk with me sometime. I'll show you how to walk. He showed me how to walk. Never to move the upper part of your body, only from there. So that you kept the upper part absolutely still and walked only the legs. Not just slop along, you can't. And I used to know some dancers. And I said, look, to walk means keep everything here tight. So that you understand? Your body becomes alive, not lump of flesh. That's enough about all that. Am I helping you?
Yes, can you elucidate on that last point, sir?
What?
Walking with the body tight
yoga. All right. You know what meaning of what you do? It was invented, as I said to you, many thousands of years ago, to keep the glands and therefore the body very healthy. When you do, say for instance, Sarvangasana, stand on your shoulder, going up that way, it stimulates the thyroid. You know what the thyroid is? It's there. It stimulates it. And it's very good for the whole system and so on and so on. Now, if you do it all properly, with care, without resistance, then your body becomes more and more and more supple, clear. Then you will know how to walk in combination with what you have heard me. You follow? The whole body becomes harmonious. You're following all this? Now, to go from that, have you ever sat very quietly? Absolutely quietly. Have you? With your eyes shut and seeing that the eyes don't move at all. And when you breathe, he has taught you, breathing, that's the whole point, is to have the body extraordinarily quiet and breathe. Behind all that is the idea that a mind that is very quiet can listen to infinity. You follow? You understood? No, I won't go into all this studio. That's part of meditation. But you see, meditation is not control. Meditation is not concentration. Meditation is not, is developing resistance, which is what people generally do. You understand all this? It is this. Meditation means tremendous freedom of movement. Well, I won't go into all that. So that when you leave this place, I hope you won't till I come back in February for a few days. Before you leave, you must have this extraordinary vitality of the mind and the heart. You understand? Free, intelligent, really psychologically totally different. Right? That's enough for this. What's the time? Just right.